the live button, and then we can go back to YouTube. Takes a second of the delay. There we are. So, okay. And then when we get ready to close it, you come over here where it says start the YouTube in the stream. Okay. It'll give you a warning. Then you go down here and you click on the camera button down here. It's got the numbers right there. That's your video, and that shuts that off. Turn the computer off and you're good to go. That's it. And keep playing. That's all right. You know how that goes. You feel nice. All right, thank you very much. I'll watch here for a minute before I leave to make sure someone's going to appreciate it. There's more to this story. Is it going to be on the Confiancio? It'll be on the YouTube. It's at Town of Syracuse. Oh, Town of Syracuse. Yes. Okay. And did it come up? It's at Town of Syracuse, correct? There's one watching. Yep. Yeah. Okay, you found it. That's probably you. Yeah, I found it. I'm looking. It should come up and tell me there's a microphone. Well, that's okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 o'clock, right on the nose. We are now starting something new because of a change to the state law for open door policies. We are broadcasting this meeting, and every other public meeting will now be broadcast live, streamed on the various YouTube channels. And then it will be saved there, so if you ever want to go back, if there were any questions about what was discussed, you can see those. So how our meeting works, Andy will call a particular case, and whether it's a request for a variance or a request for an exception, at that time, if you are the petitioner or the person requesting that change, please stand up. You can stand in front of the table, behind the table, introduce yourself for the record as far as your name and address. Then give us basically all the information you feel we need to make a decision upon your variance or exception. After you have presented your case, we will open the meeting to public comment. And by public comment, those are anyone who is either for or against your petition. Those of us on the zoning board may have questions of the petitioner or of you to clarify your comments or your requests. After you have had a chance in the public to speak, then the petitioner has an opportunity to answer or respond to any of your questions or comments. After that, then we will close the meeting to public comment. Then those of us will discuss that particular request prior to asking for a motion to either accept it or deny it, or any conditions of that we feel would be in the best interest of the town of Syracuse. After we have voted on that, we have a little sheet of paper that we basically fill out after each case is heard and voted on. So give us a few moments to make our notes. And then after we hear all of the cases that were continued from last month and this month, then we'll go throughout our normal business of approving the minutes from last month, and then we will adjourn. You're more than welcome to stay as long as you wish, or just on the particular case that you are presenting, or want to
with that all said, hopefully that gives you a brief introduction of how our meetings flow. And we'll start with the first case, and Andy will read it for us.
One minor note before we start, the second case on the agenda tonight for WSLCC Properties that got continued from last month because we didn't have a meeting last month is being moved to be heard with their other two cases at the end of the meeting. So I'm sure there'll be some overlapping questions, so best to just hear them together rather than jump around on the agenda. So the first case we have tonight is a continuance for exception number 2025-50 for Brian Wietrich. It's a petition for an exception for the purpose of the change and alteration of a non-conforming tract accessed by an unrecorded easement by allowing the two tracts to remain as split without a platted right-of-way or access easement 50 feet in width when the ordinance requires 75 feet and less than 10,000 square feet in width and size in a residential district. Property is located on the northeast side of Medusa Court and 150 feet northwest of Huntington Street in the town of Syracuse. This case has been going on for several months. At our original hearing, we had continued this, so we got some confirmation from the town on what the town council wanted to do. At the original hearing, it was not part of the town's right-of-way system. The town hadn't adopted it for maintenance. Since then, the town has adopted it for maintenance and solved the issue with whether these tracts have access now. So the only portion of this that is being considered tonight, because the access part has already been solved, is the less than 75 feet in width and 10,000 square feet in size. So it being an undersized tract of ground and less than the minimum width required. So is anyone here to present for the Wietrich hearing, whether it's Brian or the property owners that actually own the property? If you could come forward and state your name and explain a little bit about the property.
I'm Paul White, 12966 County Road 52. And yeah, we bought that not knowing that it wasn't wide enough to build on it. And I was gonna put like a cabin on it, like a 38 by 30 with an attached garage, 24 by 38. And, yeah, I don't know if it's possible or not.
So you just didn't know when you bought the property?
I didn't.
Right.
Property-wise, are there two lots that we're discussing, and then each lot is 50 foot in width, correct?
Correct. Actually, less than, yes, 50 feet in width each.
Originally, one owner had all three lots.
Okay.
And
And
when
they had a
it
house
was,
on one lot and two empty lots
Okay.
that they rented beer spaces.
Gotcha.
But we're wanting to keep them divided?
that's what the petition.
Yeah, they
So one
divided it
house
by
will go
so-
across both lots.
Now, the house is on one lot,
Here's how the two lots sit today, right here.
I own the other lot.
Okay.
You want me?
We'll take you in 1 second.
Okay.
Here are the two lots right here. And Paul, you own the one on the south or the north?
farthest north.
Farthest north, okay. So he owns this one. They're petitioning to allow them to remain as two separate lots. What we're hearing is that neither of the lots are wide enough to remain as split, and they're too small in square footage.
So, but with the house in the garage that was just discussed, would that even fit on that lot?
Well, that would most likely require another hearing for it. So we're not hearing the structure, we're just hearing for them to allow it to remain vacant.
Gotcha.
Because as they exist right now, they're in a legal track, because they're too small and we didn't really want with.
And then those that are neighbors, we see that many of those are also 50 foot.
They're all.
Yeah,
50
correct.
foot.
Yeah. So we are just basically,
If we prove it, we're just
Yeah, before they put them together.
Right.
Okay.
This is Larry's.
Yep, and it's 50 foot wide,
And, but
50 foot.
they can join the two,
Mhm.
so.
He has a street running through his backyard.
That's right.
Okay. And then, so, since we're only either approving or denying the 50 foot width, we're not looking at the setback.
Yeah,
If that would be a later,
if needed. If they could meet the setbacks, no hearing would be required, but if they needed a variance, then they would need to come back. Oh, we should probably hear from the other property.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. It was Paul, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm Kevin Miller.
Okay.
I own the, south portion of, the discussed lot. And, my address is 66247, County Road 33.
Okay.
Ocean. And, yeah, I guess my, understanding when we bought it was the same as Paul's. We could build on it. There was no issue. The only issue was the road just needed to be made to an easement, was my understanding. Well, that drug on for a month, so here we are. So my initial plan wasn't necessarily to build like permanent for now, but I'd definitely like to get it straightened out for future. If I ever sell it, I don't want it showing up later that we got issues.
Okay. So where Paul is looking to build a structure, you're going to wait for a while before building a structure on it.
I was thinking more like maybe just a small storage building for now, just for a lawnmower and something like that.
You can't have a storage building without this.
You have to have a physical residence. Yes. Okay. In that case, with the way the lots are, there probably won't be a room for a storage building then.
Yeah, most of them down through there have storage buildings.
You would likely need a variance to be able to put one. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there would be, you'd have to come back before this board likely to put a storage building on that lot of house.
So the requirement for a permanent building would be, could I put a cabin on there? Do I need a foundation with it? What are the requirements?
As far as the area plan commission is concerned, we don't require a permanent foundation as long as it's a residence that stays there. What the town building department requires, I don't wanna speak on because I'm not familiar with them. I don't wanna step on their building department toes, so, what the county can confirm is that we don't require it to be on the permanent foundation. As long as you meet all the health code, requirements as well.
And as I look at the neighbors, they do have a house next door. And as long as you follow the setbacks from the side and from the water, that's one of the main things we look at when you're coming with a variance of your plan to build a structure.
Okay.
So.
And where would I acquire those measurements?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a code enforcement officer at this time, but I'm sure we could stop up here at town hall and.
David's doing it.
And
David?
Yeah.
Probably town manager.
Yeah, and the county website does have the setback or the distance from your property line where your overhang and those setbacks. So, and you can find those, so. Okay. Any other questions for Kevin? Okay. Kevin, thank you very much. Okay, we'll open this up for, public comment. So is there anyone in favor of us granting this exception anyone opposed to us? Yes, ma'am. Would you give us your name, please? I know you were here at our last meeting, but.
My name is Carol Elder. And 25 years ago, we knew these were 50-foot lots.
Mhm.
They did not meet the requirements. They could not be built on. They could only be used for like Jenny used them for, to rent Sears out. And if they're in a they are in a floodplain area. It's not bad, but even so, they're gonna, I would think they would have to, do something to build the houses up. When they build the houses up, what's gonna happen to the people on the sides of them? Water usually runs away from there, so it's gonna run to some of us. We're concerned about that.
Okay. And Carol, as we're looking at this, so Kevin's lot, does not have really any indication of a flood risk?
I knew it was very small. I knew
Yeah.
it was small, but even so,
Yeah.
it's so small.
Now, Paul's does have a corner of his is within a flood area. And again, both of these lots are each 50-foot wide, which matches what's on Huntington Street at 50-foot wide.
And when we bought our properties, we figured and we knew nobody be building back there.
But there's houses on the 50-foot lot in front of them, correct?
Oh, yeah, they're all 50-foot lots.
And then the two lots,
Are 50 feet as well.
yeah, and there are existing homes on those.
Yeah, so those, all the 50-foot lots in there that are along Medusa Court and in that neighborhood of Huntington
Mm-hmm.
is, those were allowed to continue to exist because the tracks have not changed since Syracuse participated in, the Area Plan Commission. The reason these are up for question is because those two lots were originally together up until recently, about around the time that they were auctioned off. Then they were split, and because they had been changed since the time of Syracuse came under the Area Plan Commission's jurisdiction, the new rules apply to those lots because technically those two lots were created after it was joined. So all the other previous ones are grandfathered, if you will, to continue to exist unless if they're changed.
But they're all 50.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone else that is opposed to us granting this? Okay, well, Kevin or Paul, would you like to respond to Carol's comment? You're more than welcome to, or if there's nothing else you'd like to say, that's fine.
There's, on that floodplain,
Yes,
it's just a corner of it, and
Yeah.
I thought, if we built, we would build it up a little, but we would try to make sure there's nothing against any neighbor.
okay.
And as far as what the county would require, as long as your structure is not touching the floodplain, we wouldn't require it to be elevated, that would be your choice. However, if it's touching the floodplain, then it would have to go.
Okay, we will close this meeting to the public comment, and now as far as discussion amongst us.
The 50-foot lot is consistent with our neighborhood.
And I personally don't have any, I think they're all 50 feet, it is what it is at that point. I mean, how are we gonna say that one can't be 50 feet if they're all 50 feet anyway?
And they were before they were joined together and then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a technicality.
Yeah, they started out as small lots, then they was combined, and now they're back to small lots.
I think that's just, if it's consistent with the rest of the neighborhood, then kind of is what it is in other terms, can't make it any bigger unless you're redoing them, and that seems pointless.
And with what we're really considering is trying to locate the lot. This discussion, if they were to build, right, that's a
That's a whole different discussion.
And after they get the permit to build, depending upon their plans, they may come back, they may not.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion has passed. So for you two, they are now 50-foot lots as presented, as drawn up. And be sure to get any permits and things like that before building. Before you break ground.
If you folks come up here, I can give you my business card, and whenever you're ready to start looking at getting the structure on there, give me a call, let you know what the requirements are. If not, you may need a hearing depending on what you decide you want to say.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
We're doing traffic stores.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the agenda.
Right. Andy, what's our next one?
As stated earlier, we moved WSLCC to the end, so the next one is, variance 2025-146 for Travis George. You guys need something?
I'm ready.
Okay. Next case is variance 2025-146 for Travis George. It's a petition for a variance which would permit the construction of a residence 12 feet from the road, from the right of way of the road. Property is located on the southeast side of Pearl Street and 57 feet northeast of Parkus Drive in the town of Syracuse. Proper notification was in the paper and by affidavit surrounding property owners were notified. Travis George here,
Okay,
come forward and
Alrighty.
present your case.
alrighty. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Travis George. I live here on Medusa Street. Been here about 16 years. And I'm working on building a barn dominium over here on Pearl Street, just west of the restaurant, the south of the new parking lot Syracuse put in. And here this evening, asked for a variance or permission to build a lean-to front porch off the front of the barn dominium. I do have a couple of handouts, so I have permission to approach the bench. I'll give you guys a little better picture. No. Yep, the very front picture there is they have a computer generated picture of the front of the barn dominium, and I was asking permission for the front porch lean to 13 by 26 there. Obviously, the biggest reason to add the front porch is not for the big aesthetic value of the building, but also provides all the environmental out of the sun, out of the wind, and everything. But one of the other big reasons is it also provides a separation between the storage side of the building and the residential side of the building. If you flip to the second page, it's kind of an aerial view looking from the top down, and you can see where the porch is marked out there in red. You can notice that the porch is still behind the property on the west side, and it looks like it's about in front of the property on the east side. If you guys want to take a picture, look at there. And what I also did on the third page is actually, I stood in where the porch would actually be, looking west, and I took a picture, and I stood in the middle of the porch looking east, and took a picture. That way it gives you an idea of understanding where the porch would be, what you're viewing facing to the east. And then, finally, like I said, on the porch show, there's no sides, there's nothing blocking anybody's view either way. And the very last page, I believe, is the construction picture. This is, it kind of gives you an example of what we've done in the past. The porch would be pressure constructed, wrapped up in plywood, aluminum, with final post covers. So this may look professional, but that's what I'm asking for this evening. I mean, I appreciate your guys' time tonight. If you guys have any questions, comments, so let me know.
Is there any questions for Travis?
Oh, yeah.
Fire away.
I'm looking at your printout here.
Yep.
Mechanicals, where that stuff going?
Yep, the mechanical is all in the utility room, which would be about 30 feet on the west side
What
there.
about your air conditioner, generator?
No generator. It's gonna be, everything will probably be on the back side. So everything should be all within the setback.
Okay.
Yep. And all the utilities will be coming in from the northwest corner of the property. The water, sewer, that's something we've been working on the last 2 years because there was no water sewer there. So when we redid the parking lot, project is when we tapped into the sewer and the water.
So we're,
There you go.
we're landing 1510 off the alleyway, but what's your property line to the back of the building?
So there used to be a, as you can see,
It's been vacated. That alley.
Oh, so it's not,
Yeah, yep.
so that's the actual property.
It's not updated,
The
no.
air conditioner.
Beacon's a little behind there.
Yeah.
But,
It's updated now on Beacon, but evidently when this was printed, it's been.
it has another 16 and a half feet, half of that.
Yeah, so the town.
Yeah.
Yep, they've already signed that one off.
Thank you, Travis.
You betcha. Any questions, let me know.
Is there anyone in favor of this case that would like to speak? Is there anyone opposed to this case that would like to speak? Travis, you don't have to answer anyone's questions.
Okay, already, great.
Yeah. So we will, unless you have one last comment?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Good, let me know, but, okay.
Okay.
Short and sweet for you.
We'll close the, meeting to public comment and discussion.
I think honestly, from what's there already to what, I think that's a great, it looks great. I mean, it matches residential standards.
The one I'm looking at, the porch is not coming out even as far as this other house.
No, and that picture was, Travis, I do have a, question for you. One of, the staff comments.
Yep.
Was, maybe a condition or a question about your lean-to. Do you ever have plans to enclose
No.
that lean-to?
I do not. Yep, to be wide open on both east and west side.
Just make that condition.
Would you be willing to
Yep,
accept that as one of our conditions, that it is never to be enclosed? It would stay open on the sides.
I could say, I could go along with screening if it's a porch,
Yeah,
but
okay.
not solid walls.
Right.
So a sunshade would be acceptable.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, it matches the neighborhood,
Yeah, I think it definitely improves for sure.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented with the condition that it could not be enclosed.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve as presented with the condition that, the lean-to, not be enclosed with walls. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Congratulations,
Would
Travis.
you like your nice binders back though? Those are nice.
You let me know.
Can I keep one for the record?
Absolutely. Yep. It's easier to see it for me than it is to.
Yeah, we can look at that.
And whenever you're ready for that permit, just come by our office and we'll let you know.
Okay, thanks.
on that, between that acceptable? You can, we right into that. So now we're back to our.
Correct.
My paper was out of order and I was all sorts of confused.
Okay. Andy, next one.
Okay, our next case, which is also continued from last month, is exception 2025-56 for Rabbit Ridge Properties. Petition for an exception to allow a multifamily use in a residential district and modify previous exception, to modify a previous exception approval to allow substitution of single unit buildings or duplexes at the discretion of the developer.
Sorry, John, so.
This hearing was properly advertised in the newspaper and by affidavit surrounding property owners and notified.
I'm Steve Snyder here on behalf of Rabbit Ridge with a relatively simple request. We want to make one slight change to the original approval for this development. Just to bring you up to speed, this is a condominium, detached condominiums. And that means it was originally planned that all of the units would be duplexes. The colored handout I gave you was the original plan. And as you look at it, if you look at the main entrance coming into it on the right-hand side, you'll see that first street that goes north, there's a duplex in the upper right-hand side of that. Well, if you look at the second handout I gave you, you'll see that unit number 2, is now single rather than double. That's the only change to the site plan. The condominium site plan has been amended and recorded, so that's the official plan for the condominium. If this were a typical subdivision rather than a condominium, we wouldn't even be here, because duplexes are permitted use in a single-family zone, which this is, and we could have put a duplex on a lot that met the necessary requirements. But because it's a condominium, there are no lot lines, and we have to go by the site plan that's recorded in the county recorder's office. Has to be a condominium. This is a senior living center, which means that the people who buy these units don't want to maintain the exterior. And to be in that category, we had to make a condominium. What we're requesting is, because this is the first phase of this development, is requesting that if somebody else comes along, some other prospective purchaser comes along in the second phase and says, wait a minute, I'll pay for a single unit rather than a duplex, that we have the authority to make that change. It requires an amendment to the recorded site plan, but that's all that's required. That was a change in the numbering of the units. But we don't want to bother you by coming back in every time if that happens, nor do we want to incur the expense and the delay if it happens. Rabbit Ridge is ready to start construction of this unit tomorrow if you give the approval, so that we can get our permit tomorrow to do it. From a practical standpoint, I suppose it's advantageous to the community because we're actually reducing the density, the whole development, by one unit. And if we do it again, it would come down another unit. It's never going to go up because we can't expand beyond what the original approval was, but we can decrease it. And that may happen in the future. It may never happen again. But all we're asking for is your authority to make that modification if the market dictates it, because that's what would do it. If there's a demand for single units rather than a duplex, we want to be able to meet that demand.
community wants to be able to meet that demand, and we'd like to do it without knocking on your door every time it's necessary.
Steve, I do have one quick question for you. Was there any agreement with the town for a specific number of units?
No.
Okay.
There is an agreement with the town, the development plan, but it did not specify a specific number of units. It had a general description of what was going to be constructed, but not the number of units.
Okay. Anyone else have questions for Steve? Maybe we can ask Andy that after. Okay, we'll open up the meeting for public comment. Is there anyone in favor of this exception use, the change from a duplex to a single unit? Anyone in favor? Is there anyone opposed to changing the site plan from all duplexes to having a individual single unit?
I'm not opposed, Jeannie Smeltzer, I live right beside Rabbit Ridge. And could I see the new plan thing?
Absolutely. How do you spell your first and last name?
Jeannie, Jeanie.
Basically, they're just taking this unit here and turning it into one house instead of two houses.
Smeltven.
So they just
Okay.
wanna know if it would be okay if we approve, so say this person wants a single family home, so basically you'll have less neighbors than more.
That's, okay. Okay, so I'm right here.
So you just have one less
Okay.
person living.
They're also asking for permission to do that on any one they want in the
So
future.
say this
as well,
one wants
without
to be a single family home, or this one.
Okay, and they're only one level, not just two levels, right?
I
It's not
think
enough
that-
there, is that correct?
They're all on one floor.
Okay, that's, thank you.
Seniors don't like two-story.
Well, I'm getting there. Okay, my question is, since I live right here, it looks like they're doing a drainage thing. I mean, it's like
It'll probably, so that all the stormwater drains to the storm basin, rather than going to your guys' properties or any other surrounding properties, it will all be in their retention pond.
Yeah, we have a drainage plan on file in the office. If you'd like to request a copy, we're more than happy to provide it. It's been reviewed by, the engineer that we contract to review stormwater and drainage plans.
okay.
That's basically saving so you don't get flooded or anyone else, they contain their water to their pond,
Okay,
so that actually saves.
all right. This, it doesn't really have anything to do with this, but all the traffic that's going through the alleyway right now, they're driving way too fast.
So that one you would have to contact the police department if you wanted that one.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I needed to say something here or what.
You were talking about on Harrison Street?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I just want to reiterate that, as a condition on the original hearing, it was stated Harrison Street must be used as a secondary access, so the primary access should be on.
I totally understand that. I'm just saying the traffic right now with the people, the trucks and everything is,
Right.
they're going way too fast. I mean, it's a dead end street, supposedly.
And that's why I'm reiterating now that,
Okay.
that Harrison Street is supposed to be used as a secondary access.
And that will be repaved because it's already breaking up.
I'm not sure that,
Okay.
we don't control that.
Okay, so where would I?
The town manager would take care of it as far as repaving. Jim Lane is the chief of police for Syracuse.
Okay.
And
Do you
he's
wanna
also
see
in this building.
that, where's our, may I show this?
Yeah, go ahead, this is the one you want right here.
Yeah.
What,
This-
this one is just like, we have all the. What,
This will
This
just show where they're
the
using.
one that we had the last time,
I'll put an X on
and
it.
it's over here by the doctor's office, this one that talks about just doing a single. I'm here, this is my house, Harrison, you guys are over here.
So basically, the only change is he can put a single family here versus a.
And they may,
Yeah.
they're just asking permission if they wanna do
Yeah.
other single families instead, so you guys, if, in
Yeah.
future, if they do wanna do that, you
Right.
just have less people.
But it would still be a similar design, correct?
Right.
They would have to have so many square feet and all
Okay.
that.
Even,
Yeah.
even
Alright.
the duplex is still individual.
Then I
Okay.
Yeah, but they don't own the land.
Okay.
And I wanna clarify, I do have a email from Town Manager Dave Wilkinson stating, I wanted to make a comment regarding the Rabbit Ridge hearing on tomorrow's schedule, speaking on behalf of the town of Syracuse. We fully support the Rabbit Ridge project and have no issue with the request to allow Dr. Allen to adjust between single condominiums and the duplex condos.
Okay.
Very good.
That's sorry, cause that goes not with what the, that comment says, so that's why I was very.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
That makes
And
sense.
my staff comments were on the concern of if this project would have been approved originally, if they were all petitioned as single family residences rather than duplex. And that's up to you whether you feel like you would have approved it originally like that.
I feel like less congestion is better than more congestion, really.
Is there anyone else with comments from the public, either for or against?
I am for it now,
Okay.
that would be, I will take it.
We're okay with it.
Steve, would you like to respond to any comments that you heard? Okay.
Okay.
We will, after hearing the, email as well, which is part of the record, we'll close the, meeting to public comment and then have discussion within the board.
I think it's great, I mean, that's just less people back there, really, I mean, that's less cars in and out all day, that's less neighbors you gotta deal with, and if somebody wants a house instead of having a neighbor, like, who am I to say no? Really? Okay. I understand where they're coming from.
And Andy, is there any reason whatsoever we would need to require them to come before us for any future changes from a duplex to a single?
I don't think so. My concern as staff has been answered through here, so,
Okay.
Really, my concerns there were partly what I just stated earlier, how it wasn't originally presented as single family, and it seems like you folks were at the original hearing, I remember your faces, so it's good that you're here tonight. My other concern was that you guys' voice was heard, because I know you had concerns originally, so it seems like their concerns have been addressed.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I motion that we, accept the exception as written.
Okay. As requested, along with future changes,
Yeah, along with any future changes
just
from
to change.
duplex to single
Okay.
unit.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion that includes the, oh yeah, sorry.
I'll second that.
Okay. Just moving right out the room.
I'm like, okay.
Okay. All those in favor of, as it's presented, with the current change and future changes from a duplex to single, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. It has passed. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank
Well,
you. Welcome back, Steve.
I never left.
Have a good one. Looks way better than the original one. It's gonna be Miami. 75 years old. Yeah. That's nice. That's why you might as well put a restaurant and bar in there too. Afraid of the house.
Okay, Andy, which one will we discuss first?
First one we'll take care of actually is not in this packet, but I have printed out documents for. First one is the one that was continued, that was supposed to be heard last month. It is exception 2025-55 for WSLCC Properties LLC. That's a petition for an exception to allow a commercial structure, cold storage for marina use in a residential district.
This package is storage.
This is property located on the north side of Palm Drive, 0 feet northeast of Parkless Drive in the town.
I do have a question before.
Yes.
There was originally, when we approved this the first time, there was supposed to be 2 buildings there, right? You guys only built one? Yeah. Gotcha.
There was a plan for 2.
Right.
We just haven't got to it yet. This is, the only difference is it's oriented. Yeah.
And you're still planning on building the other one, correct? So once it's all,
This is the second one.
okay.
We built one about 2 years, maybe.
2 years ago.
No, when we had the last one, we had approved this one as well.
I thought we did. We made it. We told you we were. I don't know if we got it. I didn't have a plot laid out,
File here, so.
but we had talked about having room for one more.
Okay.
But we didn't have it drawn or ordered or anything like that. I don't know if it was formalized. It may have been.
Andy's gonna answer that.
Yeah,
question.
yeah, pulling up the
Because I was
file.
like, I remember
There's
talking
about
about
1 million
2
papers
buildings.
here, so give me
Yeah.
1 second.
I was out of town. My dad was here for that one.
I think I was here for that one too, but I don't remember.
Were you? Okay.
You were definitely here. I remember that.
Yeah. Slept since then.
I know. I don't recall this one. I remember there was a property they were considering.
No, that was at a later date. This was when the originally approved this one.
They talked about.
Yeah, so they wanted that one as well, but then we had restaurants and stuff.
Correct. We were looking to buy something.
Yeah.
We never. That was just a that is totally different. Yeah, that was just
There was another one.
was worth buying if we didn't know. We don't have any plans to ever build on it, but we were scared of it if we. You never know. But
Let's go ahead and get it approved, so we know we've got it. Steve Snyder on behalf of the petitioner. As Brandon indicated, this was discussed when the current building that's there, was approved, but we're not certain that this one was either approved at that time or approved in this configuration. It may have been approved at a 90-degree turn. So what we're looking for is just one more storage building. Inside storage of folks is becoming greater demand all the time. Everybody's building in wherever they can. Main Channel's lucky enough, they have this space available to do it. And it fits. I mean, it's just another building in a series of buildings in a large marina. And we happen to be in a lake resort area, so marinas seem to be everywhere. And that's appropriate. All we want to do is add this, actually 4th building to it, and make sure we have appropriate approvals. There really isn't anything that will be any different than what's out there already from a style standpoint, access standpoint, landscaping standpoint. We don't have to worry about traffic or parking because it's storage. In and out, one time each season, and that'll be about the extent of what goes in and out.
Is it loading from this end or
dreamed of having a pass-through,
Okay,
but we don't, it's just, it's from the west end. It'll
Yeah,
run from the west
okay.
end, yeah. We had to turn it because if you went this way,
Mhm.
when you come around, you get into the wetlands where
Mm-hmm.
a tractor and a boat are, it's longer, you can't make a turn to get in. So we decided to scoot it over for the existing building, so you went from the west. Other than that, it's the same square footage. Isn't it almost identical to the other building, guys? Okay.
The big box with racks.
Yeah. Structurally, I think we're going there.
Okay, 134 inches, how tall is that?
My math's not done yet, but I'm off word.
11 feet.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, 120 is 10 feet.
10 feet.
Yeah. 144 is 12 feet.
So actually, 134 would be 11 foot.
Somewhere between 10
Yeah.
and 12.
Okay. Anyone have questions on this particular case proceeding? On the thing? We'll open it up for public comment. Is there anyone in favor of granting this exception?
Everyone's saying.
Okay. Is there anyone opposed? I think.
We have a letter on file from Gary and Kim Rusenbeck. I believe this was sent out in the email by Kim earlier, a couple of weeks ago before the hearing this was supposed to be heard during. She cites, Gary and Kim cite environmental concerns, violations with DNR that we can't speak on, we're not DNR. Negative aesthetic and property impact, concerns about fencing, concerns about the long-term consequences of allowing another building and for the business to expand. And at the end, they urge BZA to reject the variance request, or approve only with all recommended conditions. And then, if you guys want to take a look through this.
You understand, Steve? You can have that copy.
Okay. So the only thing I would have a question on would be the DNR stuff, because everything else is consistent with what's already been there for 30 years. So I'm kind of confused on the mixing property values, because everything's cohesive with what is already on the property. Inside the fence, I would like to look at that.
Well, I can speak to the DNR issue. The DNR doesn't have any jurisdiction. So we don't have
They
to.
don't over the building.
No, they don't have any jurisdiction, and it would, they might have some jurisdiction if we were next to the water, but we're not.
Right.
IDEM would have jurisdiction over wetlands. That jurisdiction has actually been exercised by the Army Corps of Engineers in this location, and everything's hunky-dory with the Army Corps of Engineers, and has been for a long time now after some initial problems that were cured. So what we're dealing with is there a change to the character of the neighborhood? We've got the existing buildings out there. These are gonna be similar in architectural style, construction, and use. They don't generate any traffic. It's all internal.
I'll respond to a couple. For what it's worth, we really try to, I know they're storage buildings, and they're not
sexiest things on earth, but we try to, I think ours are some of the nicest ones out, so we try to make them nice, number one. Number two, it's the last one we got, I mean, there's no more ground, so we're done in terms of on that property, so one of our concerns is the expanding business, yeah, but this is it. Two, I just wanna make mention, we really do try to, we got a great builder here, we try to do it really nice, keep them up, but the fencing, there's, the fencing that's there is gonna be there whether I build this or not, it's already there.
Right.
So, yeah, that's one of the.
Well, I think we have to look at it from the standpoint, we are in a lake resort area. We have marinas everywhere. They have demands placed on them by their customers, our community, our lake community, and this is just meeting that demand. We aren't really changing any character in the neighborhood.
So the new storage building will not be any higher than the existing storage building, so it's not going to be.
Yeah, and I think her main concern was failed to install a silt fence during prior development, allowing soil erosion, wildlife habitat destruction, and grading the waterway, which
She may be referring, you know, the slats you put in a fence to make it. I don't know why, I don't know if it was related to that, but we had a whole bunch of damage. And I honestly think it was related to the construction, but that fence looked rough. And we just have to stay on top of it. I think we had some vandalism and some stuff, we had, somebody hit it and it kinda, and we probably didn't get on it fast enough and.
well, I think the silt fence was like on the ground, she was worried about.
Oh.
Like a silt fence.
That's
all.
Yeah, silt fence goes in as required for an erosion control plan before the construction starts, and I'm sure that Ace Builders is gonna make sure that gets done. And it actually may not even be in play because we're disturbing less than an acre, but.
I do remember on the most recent one.
It was slightly too tall.
It was built, you know, and luckily, Chad Johnson, the park superintendent, was at this meeting.
Correct.
He's also the king of the tree city.
Yeah.
And say, you know, could you plant some, because that sidewalk is part of the trail.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no space to plant between the sidewalk and the fence.
Right.
So.
Yep.
It would have been nice to have
Would have been
some.
nice, but.
Yep. Yeah, right.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that's, so that kind of accomplished it.
And that's why she stepped away.
Yeah, that was my main question.
Okay. We'll close it to public comments. Gentlemen, on this case with the new storage building, what's your?
I see zero issue with it. I swore we had already approved the building there to be the first time they came in, so to me, I thought this was already settled as well, because I remember discussing that, but I don't personally see any issues with it. I looked over the structural side of it, and I mean, there's not very many builders following that kind of structural engineering anyway, so, I mean, that building's gonna be there longer than most things are gonna be around anyway. I mean, that thing's solid. They're following where they're at. I mean, as far as aesthetics go, it's a storage building, inside of a fence for both storage. There's only so much you can do with it. Consistent with every other marina storage buildings anywhere else, and theirs as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I see zero issues personally.
Are there any plans to put outside racks similar to the other location on Huntington Street for storage outside?
If I had enough space, I would, but I can't even get there below them, so no.
Very good. Okay.
Just being honest with you.
Okay.
I would if I could, but I have enough space.
Any comments?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I would make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Very good. All those in favor of approving this exception as presented, Aye?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. This one passes.
Thank you.
Give us just a moment, if you would, to put these off. Water.
Just like that, you're out of room.
Yeah, I know.
It's amazing, you keep selling less trailers. It's just, I mean, 10 years ago, everybody was finding their own place.
Mm-hmm.
We still aren't any trailers anymore, because they're just looking to,
Nobody's got anywhere to park them.
yeah, it's weird.
That's my biggest struggle every year, is where I'm gonna put my boat trailer when the boat's in the water.
You're like Anderson, just park them anywhere.
Last time I think I parked it in the street for like 30 minutes, and the code enforcement was on me already, and I'm like, I just put it in the water half an hour ago.
You don't have to worry about that now, we don't have full.
That's what I said, if I'm building anything, I'm doing it right now.
Well, see, they made that a full-time job.
Yeah.
What's that?
Code enforcement.
Code enforcement.
He said he's already got a lot of applications.
Well, now that it's
71,
full-time,
I think it said 71 in the paper.
Yeah.
well, I'm sure he does, now that it's a full-time position, 3 days a week.
Starting salary's 57,000.
To make sure
Plus
people are
bennies.
mowing their grass, that's pretty good.
And now that the State Board of Accounts lost its case, one of those bennies is gonna be insurance.
Here we go. Okay. Andy, which one's that?
Okay, so, the last two, we'll hear together, they're for the same building. The first case is exception 2025-60 for WSLCC Properties. Petition for an exception for the purpose of allowing the change and alteration of a non-conforming use by allowing the construction of a new showroom in a commercial district. Second case is variance 2025-154 for WSLCC Properties. The petition for a variance which would permit the construction of a new showroom 15 foot 3 inches from the east water's edge and 18 foot 6 inches from the south water's edge. Property is located on the east side of Lakeside Drive and 1,000 feet south of Pickwick Drive in the town of Syracuse.
That's actually farther back than the first one was, isn't it? Or the same?
Pardon me?
That's actually the same, almost the same as it was, right?
Yeah, that's right. Just because memories fade, you know. Steve Snyder on behalf of the petitioners. You've got the architectural rendering of what's being proposed. And I'll tell you how it all came about. And I just got involved in this yesterday. I'm getting up to speed, but I think I'm there. After that terrible fire, you go through the whole process of everything that has to be done from a cleanup standpoint, from an insurance standpoint, and then you get into a design standpoint. And all of a sudden, before you know it, time flies. You weren't having fun. But what Andy did was look at the measurements of the existing building and go to the closest points where that building was from the water's edge, both the east and the south. And then he drew a straight line parallel with the shoreline so that we wouldn't be any closer than the closest point of the old building. Is it a larger building? Sure, it's a larger building. It would be foolish to try and put back what had been pieced together over decades. This is, you've seen the rendering there. This will be a heck of an asset to the community. And when you're dealing with setbacks from the water, and you guys all know this, oh my God, you're gonna block my view. Well, we're not blocking anybody's view. We own the property around it, and it's a swamp on the other side. The only person that might complain about some interference with the view would be the channel marker. And I don't see that as an issue. So what we want to do is maximize the benefit of this fire. And, you know, it's the only way you can look at it. So we create this building that you see on the rendering and you see on the site plan, and we enhance the whole area with a wonderful new structure that will serve all the purposes of the community, including the lake community. And at the same time, we're looking at what will end up being a significant enhancement to tax rolls in the community as well. But this plan has been extremely well thought out, designed to not only serve people who want to come in from the street and look at boats in the showroom, but serve people who come from the water to get gas, to get supplies, to get accessories, whatever. But we have a beautiful structure plan that solves the problem created by the fire and, in fact, makes it much more attractive from the community standpoint. So those two setbacks, again, are the closest points where the old building had been from the east water and the south water. And let's talk a little bit about how that space between the new building and the water is used. It's going to be used as a walkway. The older building had enough space in places to put boats out there. That's not the plan now. I'm not saying it would never happen, but it's not the plan. The plan is to use that for access to the building, for customers, and simply to create the picture that you see there. One of the other interesting things is, and Andy just pointed this out to me tonight, people buy boats in showrooms. And they don't buy boats out in the parking lot. Now, whether that's because they don't want to go out in the sun or the rain or whatever, but if the building size were reduced to conform to what we're talking about, it would probably result in excess of $1 million in lost sales, because that's what happens in the showroom. People buy boats in the showroom. Once they get in there, they're not interested in walking around outside, and Andy's not particularly interested in having the boats outside. He would rather preserve that open area so that when people are in the showroom, they're seeing boats in the water or boats going by, which encourages sales. But with a proposed structure like this, it is simply an unbelievable improvement to the area, and it's a marina. And marinas are going to be around as long as we got water in the lake. And we plan on that staying for a long time. That's why we're rebuilding the dam. But this is just such a great project. I'd hate to see it bypassed by virtue of setbacks from the water, where those setbacks are going to remain fully open anyway. Now, Andy had mentioned in his staff report some issues with outstanding things. And one of them was the lack of permits on the temporary structures, the temporary office structures that are there. So I'll address that one first because Andy wanted them addressed. So we'll do that. This is the aerial photo of the temporary mobile structures that are out there right now. And what happened was they got permits for the temporary structures, but then the architect said you got to have a ramp for ADA compliance. So they added the ramp, which runs up and then back to where the doors are on those structures. Well, we can go get a permit after the fact, and that's the way to solve that. It just wasn't one of those things that was thought of at the time the original plan was submitted to the plan staff. And apparently nobody on the plant staff said, you know, that door's gonna be 4 feet above grade, how are you gonna get up to it? Well, anyway, we can take care of that. But that will make it ADA compliant the way it is. One of the second issues was, and to make these temporary structures more attractive, there's some skirting around them. And the skirting, is temporary, just like the structure is. It's tacked to a 2x4 running along the ground and to a strip of wood running along the bottom of the mobile structure. It's not attached to the frame of the mobile structure, and there's no foundation under it, so it isn't attached to the foundation. So the question is that skirting compliant with the flood control ordinance, or do we have to have some kind of an opening that would allow an equalization of flood water? First of all, if water ever gets that high, we're all in big trouble. And secondly, if it does get that high, it isn't flowing very fast, not enough to wash anything out. But more than that, there's a specific provision in the flood control ordinance, and I just have to find my notes here, referring to Article 5, subsection B, subsection 6, subsection III. And I'll just, if I can find it here, I want to read it to you because I think it resolves the issue. Talks about standards for manufactured homes and recreational vehicles in floodplain. And one of the statements, these requirements apply to all manufactured homes and recreational vehicles regardless of location. And specifically, in item number 3, it says, flexible skirting and rigid skirting not attached to the frame or foundation of a manufactured home are not required to have openings. So we think we're in compliance. You know, those structures are temporary. They're not going to be there any longer than absolutely necessary. So I think we've dealt with that issue. We'll take care of building permits for the ADA compliant ramp. And the only other question that was raised is some question about Chris McRae's elevation certificate. And we acknowledge these are in the floodplain by 4 inches. And I don't know that there's any change needed to Chris's elevation certificate once we acknowledge that we are in the floodplain.
Well, so there's multiple issues with the elevation certificate. That's where the skirting came in as well. Chris was counting under it as an enclosure. That's why I said it may or may not meet our skirting requirements because he's counting that as an enclosure, which to me would flag that those would not be easily removed in the flood. And that's between the surveyor and you. If Chris corrects the elevation certificate to meet our requirements, to us as plan staff, that means it's meeting the floodplain ordinance and FEMA's requirements. So
I don't know what correction you need from Chris.
Yeah, so I've got an email to Chris detailing every correction I need on it. I'm happy to furnish that to you. I haven't heard anything from Kimball and Associates since I sent that.
Okay. If you'll send that to me, I'll follow up with Chris.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and all of your other notes on addressing those issues, that's good, yeah.
Good.
Sounds like we're getting them out here, so fantastic, good stuff.
Wonderful. I don't see a lot of opposition out there. I think you can discuss both of them at the same time. They probably each require a separate vote, but.
Yeah, we'll need different motions, but you can discuss them.
The only question I got, Steve, is on, what's the setback from the road? There's no measurements on this.
Oh,
drawing.
Yeah. It meets code requirements of at least 25
We
feet.
didn't put it on there just because it's over 50.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like 50. I think it's at least 45 feet, maybe 50.
Okay, that's my only question.
Yeah, it meets the 25-foot requirement.
Yeah,
That's, you know, I'm looking at, well, okay, we got all these measurements, everything looks good. How far are we here?
Yeah, we determined when Mike applied that it's meeting the setback, so that's why you don't see anything included.
Okay.
far as the building goes, that's a heck of a aesthetic upgrade to the community, as well as I'm way more likely to spend a lot more money walking in here than I would have walking in here. That's my personal idea. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think most people are gonna feel the same way. I mean,
No, it's on the same basic footprint.
that's why I personally don't have any opposition with that. As far as the second one goes, if they're willing to get the permits to correct the survey, I'm okay with that as well. This is only gonna be here until it has to be, and that's all anyway, so.
Yeah, cause I think we approved that for a year.
And then we have to have a
And then-
reapproval, but
Correct, yeah, if it needs to stay longer than a year, come back and let us know.
We're shooting for it,
Okay.
but I think forever.
I'd be real impressed.
Well, I took forever getting the design. We kept changing it. Wanna get it right. Wanna get it right, wanna get it right. I actually was thinking about, I got a year with these trailers, I gotta land the plane on this design.
I really do personally like the location of the gas pumps, having the wall behind them, blocking that from the building as well. I think that's a great upgrade, rather than the small seawall.
And Andy, you said there will be no boats between the wall of the new structure and the water, correct?
Correct. We're really trying to,
Minimize congestion.
well, yeah, and then you go to those fancy new car dealerships and stuff, they're not congested around them. They look nice windows and CN, so we wanna keep that clean.
I think that'll ease congestion coming out of the channel as well.
It helps with the visibility concerns if there's nothing there, so, I mean, that is any concern I had with my staff.
Andy, where'd you put the gas tanks?
Right in front, of the tank.
They're the same spot they were.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cause they were here.
Well, the tanks are, we're not moving it.
Okay.
You can't believe what they charge to do that.
Okay.
The dispensers are right there.
Yeah, those are saying that
They're not on the surrender. What we're gonna do aesthetically is, we're gonna try to build a, I got with the weights and measurement guys that govern the whole gas. We're gonna try to do no roof on it, but an elegant looking fence that kinda matches the building, just from a look standpoint.
And then public, is there, or do you still have like the gas gals?
Yeah.
That come out, but when they're in school, is there, do you come into the building, then go around to the sales counter to?
Well, you can do that, but we're also gonna have a window.
Like the old way, a little
Yeah.
step up?
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's a little cleaner than that, but same concept.
Okay.
Where they can just, the office ladies can just turn around. I wanna put we're proposing to put a little kiosk out there,
Okay.
where somebody can go out there and transact, they don't have to run back and forth to the office. But we don't like the idea of somebody just being able, the reason why we didn't get automated pumps, it'd be really convenient for after hours and stuff, and we'd probably sell more gas, but we like the idea of, we just haven't got our brains around not watching somebody pump gas. Just,
Make a mess in the lake, really.
yeah. You know,
Cleaner this way, yeah.
Do we have any, remonstrator emails for either one of these cases?
I believe Kim,
Specifically?
I believe Kim Cummins still stands with this one, but we've already heard those, so, and, they've already been addressed.
What are your comments?
Well, I mean, as long as we are basically on the same foundation, in my mind, even with the destruction from the fire, if we're building on the same foundation,
Same blueprint.
we-
Probably be a new foundation.
yeah, I hope.
yeah,
Yeah. It's two-story instead of one. But then we are almost a grandfathered situation setback one.
It's one
Well,
cohesive
it's like
building
anything.
rather than four.
Just one note, so
Yeah.
that for the file.
Yeah.
When you say same footprint, you're including that little portion that's basically turning this old jagged edge with right angles into a line. That's it. In addition to that, okay.
If your house is destroyed by a storm, you can build it exactly back in the exact same spot.
Right,
And
correct.
you really don't even need permits.
Because then it's a repair, within
right.
a certain time period.
Yeah, within a certain time period. So, I can't see any problem with building it back the way it's presented on the same foundation.
Yeah, and I think it's a heck of an improvement from 4 buildings to 1 building.
That was my point was, you know, although recently I've been, you know, trying to stick to.
Me too, but this is one of those weird ones where it's like, I don't see decreasing the footprint is gonna maximize anything on this one, as far as, I mean, look how much higher it is as well. So really, we're not blocking views, we're not blocking anything as far as that goes, like they explained, and this is a commercial building, so I think it's, you know, as far as that goes, if it was 30 foot back originally, and then we wanted it, that'd be a different thing in my opinion, but I'm okay with where it is. I think it's great, I think it's gonna look better and serve the community purposes.
Well, maybe during construction, I mean, the closest fire hydrant is like Harkless.
There's one right next.
Right, yeah. But I just wondered, I mean, I'm not fire trained right now, but I just wonder like almost a wet hydrant, a dry hydrant, like on the corner.
We have one right, they put a new one, well, there's one right, we had to give approval on it to put it on our property.
Okay.
Across the road. The reason why they didn't use it last time is because when they fired it up, when they bored it, they didn't clean it out, and the rocks went through and tore up the truck. That's why they had to pump it.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah. So now, it's ready to go.
That would have been nice.
Never.
I know,
needed.
but I know what you're saying, but that's why we have one right there. And I went, when I got there, 4 in the morning,
Yeah.
where are we using that?
Yeah. They tried.
They tried.
Yeah. They didn't flush it.
Right.
So, okay. Well, I was just thinking while you're digging.
Well, we're gonna sprinkle this one too.
Okay.
The other one, we had a firewall,
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't have to, but we're gonna sprinkle.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Any more questions for petitioners? Okay. Well,
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Is that for both?
For both.
for both, okay.
I would second that.
And we had Steve's commitment as far as the permit after the fact.
Right, yeah.
You okay with that?
And dealing with the elevation certificates per my email that I'll send you tomorrow.
We're okay with that?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Both have passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
You're quite well.
Congratulations on the major upgrade.
Yeah.
Sucks that has to happen, but.
I know.
Nice.
Well, you know, we're not just saying that, the whole county made much show. For experience, we don't have one.
The last one I did, I had to take a breath.
Yeah, that's true, that's what it was.
Did you ever get that done? Yes, you did.
Well,
It's like,
side
well,
of that,
underway.
uncover, and
No
then
much time it takes. They do a good job
Just don't show the problem.
on their stations.
Thank you.
How about the other location?
It's helping me. We do,
Foot traffic there and stuff?
yeah, we're living off that.
Yeah. Am I?
They
I did
did
ask if that wasn't there.
Can I come and pull the permit?
Yep.
All the
Yeah.
full storage for one?
You know Eric Bechtel?
I can make
It's
sure
still,
I'm there.
Do I like?
down
You know Eric Bechtel?
Eric Bechtel.
He said he could have you over on Wall Beach.
Yeah.
They're down there.
Over there.
Yeah. So,
They just
yeah,
don't seem to know, either they don't know we have it.
coordinate something for the driveway.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We did it, because I guess you had to buy part of the cemetery corner,
Our average
and obviously you know how that is.
Yeah, the name rings a bell.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He's a good
But
guy.
once you're in the showroom, we can always do it.
I said, oh, I know Steve pretty well.
More people do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and sorry for the continuation from
That's
last
okay.
month. I mean, that's obviously something, so if you live within the town,
I know, I keep wondering, I have businesses within the town, a lot of them, can I connect now?
no,
I know.
yeah,
Alright.
What do you do?
You'll find somebody.
well, we
have a full
we
board.
did.
Well, we
We
got
will
Jason
next
Miller.
month.
We will next.
Oh, really?
Jason
Yeah.
Miller's getting able to get back surgery on Tuesday, so.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening.
See ya.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Alright,
Aye. All those opposed? Yes. Okay.
I also move we adjourn.
I'm with that
I
as well.
can do that as soon as I finish it.
I know, I haven't even told my favorite.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we're fine. I mean,
That's pretty good. I'm impressed. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be a lot longer than that. So did I.
So, okay, so now, and yes, we did move to adjourn. So let me,
How do we set the lights?
I'm gonna turn it off right now.
yeah, look at that. See, there we are. From earlier. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, leave David, I know we gotta